a time that you gave a different approach to astrology a try? An approach that supports you on your journey and doesn't make you feel like you're left at the whim of fate, but instead helps you to recognize your place as a conscious co-creator of your own life experience. That's the empowered approach to astrology, and I'd love for you to have a chance to experience it. I'm going to offer you a discount using the code YT when you schedule at the link above. So, you can really hold yourself to blame. It's your fault after all, right? We both know that you just didn't, do good enough of a job. You're just like, you're not like standing up to the mark of where you're needing to be in order to succeed. But you know what? That's just a load of cockamamie, you know what, and that's just you giving yourself a hard time over something that you really shouldn't be giving yourself a hard time over. And whilst self-analysis can be a helpful thing from time to time, there's times when we overdose on, like, that self-analysis, and now might be one of those moments. Sure, reflect on yourself. Sure, take a look at what you might be able to do just a little bit better. But when you turn in on yourself and give yourself too hard of a time and blame yourself for somehow not being able to achieve the impossible when you think that you really should be able to achieve the impossible, just recognize, look in the mirror, and remember you're not fully in control, right? We're only in control when we're in control of our awareness and when we're trying to, pay attention to that situation. And even then, it's questionable because we're not always 100% there. But when your ego is getting caught up in the act, as it would be if you're taking a look at yourself and going, I'm just not doing good enough of a job. I'm not like, shouldering the responsibility that I'm here to shoulder. Those are all ego-based responses. Ego isn't always boosting yourself up higher than you are. Sometimes it's making yourself lower than what you actually are. And you're in a situation at the present moment, as we're dealing with this full moon energy in Uttara Bhadrapada, where you're needing your confidence in order to get through this particular situation. But something is being reflected back to you about your participation in the situation that you're dealing with, which can be in any area of life dependent upon what this full moon's interacting with in your horoscope. Once again, you can schedule a consultation with me using the code YT at the link above and find out a little bit more. But you've had something reflected back to you that's making you feel not so good about yourself or your involvement. And so the natural response to that is, let's try a little bit harder. Let's push a little bit more. Let's, see what we've done wrong and see how we can be in greater control of the situation. When at the end of the day, it's less about sorting out the details of how you can make something happen, and perhaps a lot more about looking at what's coming from your heart, looking at whether your care or your love is going into the actions that you're doing. It's less the particular steps that you're taking, it's more the steps, or more, I should say, the feeling tone with which you're taking those steps with. With this particular full moon, we've got the moon in close proximity to Rahu, which is the Vedic astrology equivalent of the North Node. And Rahu's in Ashwini Nakshatra while the moon is in Uttara Bhadrapada. And there's a tendency with this full moon energy to kind of go deeply into your insecurities, almost to a manic level. And that's not being said to you to make you go, oh no, here's that scary full moon that he was telling me about. No, it's being said to you to make you aware of the energy when that moment arises, and to recognize if you're finding yourself in a situation where you're somehow scrambling for a solution to deal with things, that a lot of what you're confronting is really probably more based on your insecurities than it is the actuality of the situation. With the full moon, obviously, the sun is going to be vitally important, which is, of course, always directly opposite the moon at the time of a full moon, because that's what a full moon is. It's a sun moon opposition. And the sun's in Hasta. And Hasta is reminding us of, hey, if you want to do a good job, part of the best way to do a good job is to recognize you can't control things, but instead you have to be receptive to what's coming your way and work with the situation as it arises, as it surfaces, in order to make the most of it. So if you're confused, well, that's the norm, right? Don't blame yourself for not doing such a good job with the confusion that's been dumped upon your lap, because, hey, that's quite often the universe's way of teaching us how to evolve, how to adjust, how to adapt, and how to continue to trust ourselves and to trust in the universe through all the difficulties that we're going through. So don't give yourself too hard of a time about how well you're able to control the outcome. What matters is you care. What matters is that you're devoted. What matters is that you're coming from your heart in the actions that you're taking. And what matters less is the niggling little details of how you didn't perhaps do step A right, or perhaps you didn't do step B right, or perhaps how you just got the whole darn thing wrong and just got it like, all upside down and confused. That's gonna happen from time to time. It's less the destination that's important. And I know you're going, oh, don't feed me all of that rubbish, but you know what? It's actually true. We just have a lot of attachment to the quote unquote destination or the goal, if you're wondering what I'm talking about. But when you recognize that life is more about the journey and the scenery and what you're looking at along the way, then you'll recognize that even if you're looking at yourself, you have a choice to see like all the negative things that, relate to how like you're not being responsible or how you're not being perfect, or you can choose to see the real beauty, which is that you care, that you're devoted, and that you're ultimately doing the best that you can. Trust that that's enough. If you could use a little bit of help as we're approaching eclipse season in mid-October with a solar eclipse in Chitra Nakshatra, which is going to take place on the 14th of October. If you could use a little bit of help dealing with the energies that are leading up to that particular time, once again, the Empower Hour consultations or the Empower Hour Plus sessions are a great way to go. You can schedule and get a discount using the code YT when you schedule at the link above. That's going to do it for this look at the full moon in Uttara Bhadrapada, which takes place on the 29th of September, 2023. Until next time, please do take the very best care of yourself. Bye now.